Welcome back to the Hanging Mace, everybody. Today we're going to do distilling. Let's make some alcohol. Now, of course, to distill, you're going to need a distillery, which that was the first video on this channel. You can see it here. The first topic I want to discuss is distilling probabilities. I went into the servuo code and found out what the equation was for a general server, and it was cooking plus alchemy plus your yeast strain value times 12, all over 2.5. So as you can see on this table, the yeast strain values over on the left-hand side, and then alchemy broken out in sets of 10, starting from 0, skipping some, and then 60 to 120. And then across the bottom is cooking skill, either 0, 30, 40, so on through 120. You can see on this chart that if I'm using a GM alchemist who also has a 90 skill in cooking, using plus yeast, I have a 100% chance of distilling that item. Now, if I'm down at, let's say, I just have 60 alchemy and I just trained up to 30 cooking by getting some skill points off of a chef, and I'm using negative yeast, I have about a 41% chance. So it would take, 3 tries to make sure that I make the distillation product that I'm after. Of course, your server may use a different bit of code in the background that changes these probabilities, but it's a good starting point. Now, of course, where are you going to get yeast? Orcs have it, so go to your favorite place that has a bunch of orcs to kill. Go ahead and do your thing, collect the yeast from the orcs' corpses. You'll find that negative is the most prevalent, and then plus is the rarest. I tend to save my plus for either really difficult distillations. There aren't too many of them. We'll do one here with a rare ingredient, but generally I use those for the wine fermentation, which we'll do in a different video. Alright, the first type of distillation we'll do is wine-based distilling. Really all this is, go to a tavern keeper, buy some pitchers of wine, and then you'll be able to make brandy. It's the simplest one to make. It only takes wine as an ingredient. So we'll try making just a regular distillation. Make sure that you change your label to whatever you want, and then go ahead and click on it and choose your barrel. You were successful at distilling attempt. So you can see it's got the name as well as the type of liquor and who distilled it on what date. Now we'll also use brandy as an example for double distillation. Double distillation is more difficult. I'm not too sure what the equation for it is, but it does take double the ingredients. And you can see that I'm going to fail a couple of times. First time I tried, failed. You lose half of your ingredients, so you can see here I still have 4 of my wines, but the other 4 are empty. We lost them. So I'm going to refill. We'll try again. And another failure. So let's restock one more time. Success! There we go. The next type of distilling we're going to talk about is water-based distilling. First one's going to be aquavit. This one is a potato-based, so we're going to have 1 bowl of potatoes, 3 pitchers of water, and it only takes 1 thing of yeast. There we go. Next is going to be Iraq. Now you can see that this ingredient is a bunch of dates as well as the water. The bunch of dates you cannot purchase anywhere. I had to pull out my thief, and then you go to provisioners, and you can find the bunch of dates in the provisioners crates. Now, one of the problems I found was that provisioners are often commingled with cobblers, so a lot of the crates were only shoes. It took a while of exploring to find the crates with food items in it, and then it took a long time to get some food items. Found 1 bunch of dates. I'm going to use the plus just as insurance because I don't want to have to spend another couple of days finding another bunch of dates. Always make sure to change the label on your creation, and then double check you've got everything you want, and distill. Success. Alright, first time, there we go. Next we're going to be doing corn whiskey. Now this takes a bowl of corn, 3 pitchers of water, and then whichever yeast you want to use. Always go through and double check you've got what you need. I didn't have enough pitchers of water here. Let's pull those in, and then change the label, make sure you've got an empty barrel, and distill. Alright, the next set is going to be wheat-based distilling. For each of these, wheat wort is going to be one of the ingredients. The first one, whiskey, is just 3 different types of yeast, and then a wheat wort. It can all be the same type of yeast. I'm going to use, I believe, plus minus here, times 3, and only 1 wheat wort. Change the name, Castle Whiskey, bring over my 3 yeasts, the 1 wheat wort, choose the yeast. Yep, you can see I'm using plus minus, and execute distillation. Next we're going to be doing bourbon. This one has wheat wort plus a bowl of corn. You can see this one takes 3 wheat wort and 1 bowl of corn, and still 3 yeast. Select the specific yeast you want to use. Make sure the name is right, and execute. Next we're going to do spiritus. This is a bowl of potatoes and wheat wort, and then 3 yeast. Let's gather up all our materials. Make sure we've changed the label on the barrel. Choose all of our yeast strains. Double check we've got everything, and execute. There we go. Next is cassis. Slightly difficult material to come by, tribal berries. At least you can go out and hunt for these. They're not a stolen item. 3 wheat wort, 3 bowl of potatoes, and then 1 tribal berry. Change the label, and execute. Next we'll do melon liquor. Take some of the wheat wort, we need 3 bowls of potatoes, and 1 melon. Get all the materials in your pack. Choose your yeast strains. Make sure you've got the label right, and execute. There we go. Next we'll do mist. This is wheat wort and honey. Gather up all the materials, change the label. Gonna be fancy on this one and do a hanging mace mist. You're limited to 15 characters, so I couldn't put in the spaces. Choose your yeast strains, double check all the materials are good, and execute. Alright, you can see all of them that I've made. I made these over 2 days. I had to take a break and find those bunch of dates. One thing I'll point out though is that some of them are matured and some are maturing. The ones that need to be matured take 48 hours after you say execute distillation for them to mature. You can see on this table that there's 2 that are instantly mature. That's aquavit and spiritus. On April 1st, looking at these completed barrels, you can see that the ones that were started on the 29th are matured, while the ones that were started on the 31st are still maturing, because they haven't reached 48 hours. And that is how you distill in Ultima Online. Thanks for coming along with that, everyone. Get out there and make some bottles.